Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Manel Souidi and I will present the work entitled How Can Urban Resilience Manage the Wadi Floods case of Wadi al-Harash in Algiers, who was realized in collaboration with Mr. Haytham Amin DAGHMOUM and Mrs. HADIDI. The city of Algiers possesses a rich human, economic, urban, and natural resources that have been recently developed after the development of Parc Sablet in 2011. It is now the turn for the banks of Wadi al-Harash, which takes its name from the same municipality or commune. Despite all these projects and initiatives, the surrounding area are still threatened by the risk of flooding and water pollution from the industrial emissions. So we are asking the following questions. How can urban resilience control the risk of flooding on the bank of the Wadi al-Harash, and are the planned measures really adapted to the nature-based solution? This work followed three parts. The first one was a literature review of urban resilience and flood management in general, and for the case of Algeria in particular, of course, and then a research for the nature-based solution methods that are applied in urban planning. We conducted then an interview with an urban researcher, and sadly we were not able to contact a professional that actually worked on Wadi al-Harash riverbank development project. And then we conduct an in-depth study case. We first begin with the data collection to do a SWOT analysis, and then a comparative study with the example of La Seine in Paris, and then to compare with the NBS methods. But unfortunately, we were not able to represent our result in GI maps. Talking about urban resilience and flood management, we can say that Algeria witnesses a growing risk of flooding recently due to climate change, urban sprawl, and also soil artificialization. Since our country signed the Sendai framework, the public investments now turn to a fund project to develop riverbanks into green esplanades and promenades. And they are doing it sometimes in collaboration with foreign construction companies, which is the case here for Harash. With the Korean company, of course, under the patronage of the Wilaya of Algiers. Since we discussed the flood risk management from a resilient perspective, we aim to analyze the policies and strategies applied by the Algerian authorities and the organization in charge with this kind of projects. The aim of resilience is, of course, to encompass not only the control of flood risk when it occurs, but also preventing its occurrence. For this reason, Algeria created ICCUAU in 2023. Their mission is to preserve ecological and biological diversity, strengthen recreational, educational, and research activity. Talking about Wadi al-Harash, other study case, this commune is located in the eastern part of Algeria, far almost about 15 kilometers from the downtown. It is bordered by the sea in the north and the other commune around. It is crossed by several national roads, the train line, and the Wadi, which forms a delta starting from the south and ending up to the sea in the north. When we contact the municipality of Al-Harash, we gave us the land use plan of Al-Harash, commonly named here in Algeria Plan d'occupation du sol, ou POS in French. And according to the flooding map, the risk of flooding is very high in both banks of Al-Wed, which is represented here in red, in the central part of the region, and medium risk between Al-Harash and the surrounding community. Mostly, the organization in charge of this project implement green area called Esplanade, clean up the Wadi river beds, monitor its flows and water quality, and also carry out regular sanitation and waste removal operation, and also set up fraud warning systems as forecasting and alarm system. Harash has the great opportunity to be close to major infrastructure, and it is well connected through bus, tramway, metro, and train. It is also developed now under the urban planning policy of the city called PDO. But in the contrary, the weaknesses that were noticed is that the region suffers from the lack of infrastructure and eco-friendly mobility, with this ongoing risk of flooding and pollution. According to Mr. Brahimi interview, Al-Harash is in fact a high-risk flooding area. Since 1954, there were 3 minor rise in water levels, no human causality, but since then the authorities have decided to register this area in the flood risk region. The current urban plan development of Algiers and the recent land occupation plan of Al-Harash recommended 300 meters of riverbank in both sides. There are citizen satisfaction from these projects, and also a focus on the cycle-friendly infrastructures. And from the academic side, there have been some French partnership for workshop and academic contents where they present this case study. Unfortunately, we were not able to contact the Korean company who worked on this project to have further information. Comparing the case of La Seine to the case of Al-Harash, we find out that, unlike Algeria, the flooding risk in France is more important, in fact, but for the 2 study cases, they shared the same strategic situation in the capital. They also focus on the natural and ecological alternatives in the framework of the urban plan developments. In France, they are called SCOT and PLO and are very similar to the Algerian development plans. But unfortunately, the data in France is more available and accessible, unlike Algeria, which causes several issues for researchers to develop their work. These regions also benefit from blue and green urban spaces who were abandoned for several years because of the industrial emission that causes an olfactory pollution. But nowadays, and according to the Algerian Space Agency, analysis of ALSAT-2A images taken on 1950 shows that the landscape is almost complete, with the presence of leisure and recreational facilities, rest and sport area, cycling path, pedestrian walkways, and water features. So the study confirms that the development plan of Al-Harash banks respected the NBS and enhanced the region's natural potentiality. Unfortunately, we were not able to create GIS maps to represent these results due to the lack of data and timing. In conclusion, we can say that this project is one of the great opportunities for the city in general to safeguard natural urban environments thanks to the recent studies and ecological solution applied. We also found out that the citizens of the city are asking for more green and public areas, and the need is more remarkable since the pandemic of COVID-19. The strategical development and the urban plan in Algeria is closely similar to the French case, so we have this great opportunity to benefit from previous experience of flood management in other countries. Regrettably, the lack of access to data for us as researchers, but also for public, hinders risk management studies. So we aim to develop further studies with the more quantitative results in the future. We thank you for your attention. See you.